High in Montana's Tom Miner Basin, a rancher found his dead heifer dragged 30 yards uphill, tucked against a deadfall, and deliberately buried under pine needles and branches. And wolves do not bury what they kill. It was a raw morning in late autumn, up on the slope above his winter pasture, at the northern edge of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. He knew the ground, he knew where a downed cow should be lying. And this one wasn't there. The carcass had been moved, dragged nearly 30 yards uphill against the pull of the slope, and shoved in tight against a fallen log. Then the part that stopped him cold, the body was covered. Pine needles, loose dirt, snapped branches, raked over it on purpose, like someone had tried to hide it. Look at the carcass again, not where it fell, but hidden. Ask yourself what buries its own kill, because wolves don't. That's the whole problem with the scene. A wolf pack feeds and leaves. They tear into the soft parts, they eat, and they move on. They don't tuck a body against a log and rake earth over it to save it for later. That behavior belongs to a different kind of animal entirely. And standing on that slope at dawn, the rancher was looking at something that shouldn't have been there. But here's the thing. This is wolf country. Gray wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995, and the packs in this corner of the ecosystem are some of the best documented on the continent. Every rancher in the basin knows their howls. Some of them have lost stock to those packs before. A calf here, a yearling there. So, when a big animal is found dead on the mountain, there's already an answer waiting. Wolves take the credit. They almost always do. And that's exactly what happened. Before anyone measured anything, the easy answer was already circulating. Big predator, downed cow, wolf country. Wildlife officials logged it as a probable wolf depredation. Case closed. Except the field evidence would not cooperate. Start with the one detail nobody could square with a wolf, the covering itself. Hold that word, covered. It is the whole case. No wolf on record hides a carcass to come back and feed on it for days. Before the biologists ever arrived, the paperwork already said wolf, but 2 measurements taken at that site would refuse that answer completely. The gap between the tooth marks on the throat and the tracks down by the water, with no claws at all. Start with the punctures. Investigators measured the gap between the canine tooth marks on the windpipe, and the number came out wrong. Too narrow for an adult wolf, and the angle was wrong too. High on the throat, clamped down, a throat hold to the windpipe that shut the airway. That's a suffocating kill. A wolf pack doesn't work like that. Wolves come in low and fast at the hindquarters. They slash, they pull the animal down from behind. They don't sit on the throat and hold. This one held. So, the bite spacing said one thing. Then the tracks said the same thing, louder. Down near the water, where the ground was soft, the prints were clean and easy to read. Round, broad, and empty where they shouldn't have been. Look for the claws in that print. There aren't any. A wolf can't hide those. A dog can't either. Every canid on earth walks with its claws out, and every canid leaves them stamped in the mud. This animal's claws were retracted, folded back, tucked away inside the paw. Round pad, no claw points, wide as your palm. That is a feline track. That is a cat. Then there was the thing that started this whole doubt in the first place. The carcass, dragged 30 yards uphill, tucked against a deadfall, and covered. Pine needles and dirt and snapped branches raked over the body on purpose, deliberately hiding a kill to come back and feed on it, night after night, for days. Only one predator in North America does that as routine. Not wolves, not bears in this way. One animal caches like this, methodically, every time. The mountain lion, puma concolor, a big cat. A state wildlife biologist came out and crouched at the site and read it the way you'd read a page. The scrape marks, the drag distance, the covered kill, the throat hold bite. He stood up and told the ranchers plainly what they didn't want to hear. This was not a wolf. Say the name the ranchers refused to. This was a cat. And here's where it gets stranger instead of simpler. Because a cougar in Montana isn't the mystery. They belong here. They've always been here, in the timber, on the ridges, moving through country like this without anyone ever seeing them. The species wasn't out of place. What didn't fit was the where and the scale. A cache and return hunter working livestock out in the open, right at the valley's edge, in country where wolves always take the credit. The tracks pointed at a cougar. The bite pointed at a cougar. but the ranchers wanted to see it with their own eyes. And near a later carcass, a camera trap had already been set on the cached kill, waiting for whatever came back in the dark to feed. And there it was, grainy, green-lit, time-stamped a little after 2 in the morning. A large tom lion, low to the ground, walking straight back to the mound of raked earth and branches where the carcass lay buried. The camera fired. The eyeshine flared white in the infrared, and the animal did exactly what the tracks and the throat wound had already promised it would do. There it is. The animal the paperwork never named, walking back to its buried kill. No more measuring, no more argument about angles and pad shapes. A rancher watched it on a small screen, played it again, and went quiet. The physical evidence and the image finally agreed. This kill was confirmed on camera, and the thing on the screen was not a wolf. Sit with what that means. For years, the wolf took the credit. The wolf was the story everyone in the basin already believed, so the wolf got the blame, and the real predator fed in peace. The obvious suspect had been covering for the guilty one, literally covering. The same behavior over and over, dirt and pine needles raked across the body, a cache to return to for days. So here is what the evidence actually settles. The bite spacing on the throat, too narrow, set at the wrong angle, a suffocating hold on the windpipe. The tracks near the water, round and broad, no claw marks, because a cat walks with its claws sheathed. The systematic caching, the drag, the cover, the return, every one of those signs is consistent with mountain lion predation. And at least one site was confirmed on camera. The predator behind the Montana kills was Puma concolor, a big cat that was never out of place at all, which leaves the harder question wide open. Count how many Western kills you've heard blamed on wolves. Now, ask how many were measured, how many cattle, how many sheep, how many carcasses across the American West were logged as probable wolf depredation, because the wolf is the answer we expect. And nobody knelt in the mud to check the bite, or the claws, or whether the body had been hidden and revisited. The animal was never the mystery. Our reading of it was. And if the misread happened here, in well-documented wolf country, it can be hiding in 100 valleys people thought they understood. Cougar activity folded quietly into the wolf's tab. Somewhere above the Tom Minor Basin tonight, a lion is dragging something into the dark timber. It will rake earth over the body, snap a few branches across it, and walk away, planning to come back. The frame in the dark told us who it is now. The next set of tracks, in the next valley, is already pressed into the mud at dusk, waiting for someone to measure it correctly, and most of the time, no one does.